have explained how we cannot rely on reserves or these different revenue options to close the funding gap. But let me now address the key issues pertaining to GST. First, the timing of the GST increase. I had considered this matter very carefully before deciding to start on 1st January 2023, to delay the start to 1st January, and to stagger the increase over 2 steps. Some ask, what happens if inflation turns out to be more persistent or higher and more persistent? Wouldn't it be better to wait until we are sure that inflation has come down before raising GST? Now, as I mentioned before, I fully understand the concerns about inflation and cost of living, but we cannot keep delaying the GST increase given our pressing revenue needs. And if inflation turns out to be persistent and higher than expected, we will deal with this separately through other tools, like I mentioned at the start of my speech. And besides managing inflation, we also share the concerns raised by Mr. Chong Ki-Hiong and Mr. Saktiandi Supat, which is that we want to see local wages rising faster than prices. In fact, we've done well on this front. In the last 10 years, median Singapore wages in real terms have risen by about 3% per year, faster than many other developed jurisdictions such as the US, UK, Japan, and Hong Kong. And we will continue to work hard to ensure that such real wage increases are sustained in the coming years across all segments of our workforce. Meanwhile, we are helping Singaporeans with the household support package this year, and we are cushioning the impact of the GST through the enhanced assurance package and the permanent GST voucher scheme. The household support package will provide a household with 2 children up to $785 of assistance this year. The enhanced assurance package and GST voucher will be rolled out together starting this year, even before the GST rate goes up. Combining the two, households will receive a very significant package of benefits. Ms. He Ting Ru asked if we can make the GST less regressive, such as through a multi-tiered GST system for different items, or if we can exempt certain essential items from GST. Exempting or lowering the GST on a basket of essential goods sounds like a good idea. But there are 2 problems with this. The first is that a multi-rated GST system leads in practice to highly arbitrary distinctions between products and lots of creative efforts by businesses to get their products classified into the lower tiers. It is administratively costly and onerous to implement. Ms. He said that these costs can be easily overcome, but that has not been the experience of other jurisdictions. If we were to go down this path, it will significantly and unnecessarily complicate our GST system. That's the first reason. But the second and bigger problem with this suggestion is that, in fact, it does not effectively target support to those with greater needs. So aside from the administration of it, it is not effective. In fact, such an exemption for a basket of goods tends to benefit the well-to-do because they spend more on everything, not just luxury items, but basic necessities as well. So this is ineffective as a redistributive tool to make our system fairer. And this is not just MOF's conclusion, mind you. This conclusion has also been reached by studies by numerous governments as well as organizations like the OECD. And this is why, in fact, it is fairer and more effective for us to have a single GST rate across the board and to directly help lower income and middle income Singaporean families through the GST voucher, which is what we are doing. Essentially, we already have a highly tiered GST system in Singapore, but it is not tiered by the different types of goods or services which Ms. He had asked for. Instead, it is tiered by the impact of our GST, such that the well-to-do pay more GST and the lower income are impacted the least. That is a fairer and far more effective way of taxing consumption. Many members of the opposition, in fact, I think both the Workers' Party and the PSP, object to the very idea of raising GST, claiming that the offsets are temporary and the GST is regressive and disproportionately impacts the poor. But again, such misguided claims ignore the way that we have implemented GST in Singapore. What happens when the GST rate is raised to 9%? Together with the enhanced permanent GST voucher scheme, you can see from this chart, the effective GST rate for the first 3 deciles remains unchanged. So for them, the enhanced permanent GST voucher neutralizes the impact of the increase in GST. So it is not true that the GST increase hurts the poor, not in the way we have designed it. And even for the middle income, you can see they continue to pay an effective rate which is well below the headline 9% rate. There is another effect of the GST which causes it to bear more heavily on the well-off. A consumption tax also allows us to tax those who may not be earning income in Singapore but are in fact well-off. They may be investors, persons of means, and they may not be paying much in income today, even though they have the means to contribute, because their income is not easily ascertained. And that could be, for example, if they are self-employed. But they will certainly be consuming more. And the GST ensures that such people, those with greater means, will contribute their fair share of taxes. Mr. Leong Man Wai had made some calculations, and he concluded that the middle income will bear a disproportionate burden of the GST increase, but that is not so. After the GST rate increase, it is the top 20% of citizen households who will pay a greater share of GST, and that is after GST vouchers and the absorbed GST is netted off. So you can see from the chart, top 20%, the share goes up from 40% to 42%. For the middle 20% of households, they will pay a slightly smaller share of GST. So I've covered the issues around GST and the various revenue options. I would like to assure members that we have studied and carefully considered every tax option. I appreciate that the Workers' Party offered suggestions on alternatives to the GST. In fact, we've studied every tax option even before the budget in order to design what we have put together as part of a package of tax changes in this budget. And we've looked at all the options again. And as I've explained, there are limitations to all these different proposals, and in some cases, the sums just do not add up. Every tax move we make is carefully considered so that we have, in the end, a balanced, effective, and fair set of tax measures in the budget. More importantly, a progressive fiscal system does not and should not mean that each and every tax is progressive, let alone highly progressive. What ultimately matters is the overall system of taxes and transfers to ensure that that overall system is progressive, and that's what we have done. If you were to take a revenue by revenue approach, you will end up with less revenues, and you will also undermine the broader need for everyone to contribute as part of a durable social compact. The bottom line is that we cannot sustain a tax system where the bulk or all of the burden is borne by a small group of people at the top end. It will not be possible to hold our society together if only a small group of people are required to pay more taxes all the time, while the rest simply get to piggyback on their contributions to enjoy more benefits. And that's why having a broad-based tax like the GST is so vital. It makes a direct link between our demands as voters and our responsibilities as citizens. Break that link, and we encourage irresponsible lobbying and playing to the gallery. Someone else will pay for the good things in life. Why not demand more? And that's how we have designed our system, on the principle of collective responsibility. Everyone contributes. Everyone contributes towards the cost of delivering services, and everyone benefits from these services, but to different degrees. Those with greater means bear a higher burden, and they draw less on government support, but they still enjoy some benefits from the government. Those with Fewer means carry a lighter share, but they still contribute something, and in return, they receive more benefits from the government, more than they put in and more than the better off. And in this way, we all do our part to help ourselves and one another, and we strengthen the trust that binds us together as a society. This is a fair and inclusive system. We should also remember that the well-to-do contribute in many other ways and not just through income or wealth taxes. For example, many have set up businesses in Singapore, creating good jobs for Singaporeans and helping to develop new capabilities in our economy. And while these individuals are here in Singapore, they consume more and pay more in GST. Some also set up philanthropic foundations, contributing to our charities and other worthy causes. Ms. Fumiha and Ms. Denise Pua spoke about this, about enhancing our framework for philanthropy, and we will certainly do so. I want to make it very clear, too, that we have no issue with people doing well, earning more and achieving success in their careers. Our tax system must never discourage hard work, effort, and enterprise. At the same time, we want to avoid in Singapore the emergence of stark income inequalities or social stratifications, which will undermine social cohesion and pull us apart. So we will continually review and update our system of taxes and transfers to achieve this balance, to reward enterprise, innovation, and work, and to mitigate the pressures of social inequalities. We will continue to ensure a fairer and more resilient fiscal structure to underpin our social compact and to strengthen our social solidarity. Many members in this House, Mr. Liang Yinghua, Ms. Rachel Ong, Mr. Xie Yao Chuan, have affirmed this, and I thank everyone for your strong support.